Hey, Bold for Christ YouTube channel here. I want to weigh in on this Mexico travel advisory warning that's going on right now. You hear about the four Americans that drove from South Carolina to get a tummy tuck and to buy some medicine, right? It's so easy to see right through this if you have any wisdom at all. Okay, first of all, the government never just says four Americans when they're talking about black people. Okay, these were four black people. When the government, when I'm sorry, not the government, the media never just says four Americans. They always say four African Americans, or they always point out that they're African American. They don't just say people, right? But here they're just saying Americans. They're just four Americans. You'd have no idea that they were black people if you didn't see a picture of them. So it's interesting because these four Americans look like drug dealers. They look like thugs, okay? And they were this lady was going for a tummy tuck. Now, I'm not a plastic surgeon, but if I'm not mistaken, don't you go for a tummy tuck after you've lost a lot of weight, right? Wouldn't you? This lady's rather large. You don't A 200-pound woman doesn't get a tummy tuck. A 200-pound plus woman gets a stomach staple and takes a year or two to lose the weight, and then she gets the tummy tuck. Now, I could be wrong on that because I'm not a plastic surgeon or doctor, but I don't think rather large people just get tummy tucks. A tummy tuck is like you got a little extra something around there and you need to just tuck it and get it to go away. Now, I'm not saying she wasn't going to get cut open, but here's my take on the situation. Four black Americans, as the media would normally say, crossed into Mexico to buy drugs from a cartel, and then they were going to insert them in this rather large woman's stomach, in which she was going to smuggle them back across the border. But things didn't quite go so well, as they did something to upset the cartel they were buying the drugs from. Either didn't pay them, or maybe something was wrong from the last time they dealt with them. Who knows? But this cartel was like, we're not going to put up with this, and they took them out. Again, this goes to show, if you come to Mexico looking for problems or looking for drugs, yes, you're going to find some problems. But if you just come minding your own business, you're probably safer than if you took a trip to Chicago. You're probably safer than if you took a trip to LA. You're probably safer than if you took a trip to Miami. You're probably safer than if you took a trip to Atlanta. You're probably safer than if you took a trip to New Jersey. Okay, I've been in Mexico 5 years. The biggest problem I've had with anyone has been the police. The police like to do roadblocks and they like to extort money. But the good thing is, if you got you give them a few hundred pesos, you're gone and you're on your way. Now, I've never had to pay the police because I know how to stand as a man and I know how to get through every situation like that. But most people are just going to pay the police and just be done with it. And your life is not, even though they have machine guns, your life is probably never in danger. You're more in danger, like I said, of going to Chicago or LA or Atlanta or one of these big cities ran by Democrats in the United States. Anyways, that's probably a more accurate take on what happened in Mexico. Four people were going to buy drugs from a cartel and got themselves in trouble. But you won't hear the media say that because that's not what they want people to think. They want people to be in fear of going to Mexico. Or this played right into the government's hands. The government came out, and Lindsey Graham, that guy that wants to pass a law that it's okay to abort babies up to 16 weeks, came out and said, we are going to fight this. This is a national threat, a national security threat. If Al-Qaeda were shooting missiles from that side of the border, we would crush it, right? And this is the same thing. This is a national security threat, so we're going to fight this and do something against this and do something about it. So really, and you remember Operation Fast and Furious, where our own federal government provided the cartels with machine guns. Okay, so they create these problems. This is probably all created by our own government. So now they can come in and be the heroes with the solution. And the solution somehow always involves in removing people's rights, restricting people's travel. See, something's going to happen in the future. They're building this wall. Something's going to happen, and people are going to have the instinct to flee to Mexico. And the government knows that this is going to happen, and so they're going to try to nip this in the butt right now before that time comes. The only people that will get into Mexico are most likely Mexican citizens when that day comes. Anyways, God bless.